Hi, I'm Jason Scoggins with itsonthegrid.com and thewrap.com. I'm sitting here with Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow of Safety Not Guaranteed, the writer and director. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us. Man.
Take a minute to tell us about your movie while we get started.
Well, our movie is based on a classified ad that was found in Backwoods Home magazine about 12 years ago that said, wanted someone to travel back in time with me. I've only done this once before. You must bring your own weapons. Safety is not guaranteed. And Derek found that ad, which had become kind of an internet phenomenon, over 2-3 years ago, and used that as the jumping off point for a time travel love story.
That's great. Had you guys worked together before this project?
Yes, we've known each other for like 15 years. We went to college together, and we'd actually written a pilot presentation. That was the first time we worked together. And then we've done like studio rewrites and spec scripts together.
Right. Yeah, actually, I think the first time I became aware of you, Colin, was with World War X, which I don't think you wrote together, right? That was
that was a spec that I had. I actually wrote it a couple years before I sold it.
I remember.
I sold a spec called Tester in 2006 that I developed for many years with Walter Parks, the producer that bought it. And I'd written that actually right after, and then the writer's strike happened. And so we didn't send it out then, and we did send it out after the writer's strike, but the climate wasn't great, and it just wasn't the right time for that movie. And I guess about 2 years went by, and then Inception came out, and it's not the same movie as Inception at all, but you know it is kind of a challenging sci-fi movie, and so at that point there was sort of suddenly a mandate to go out and find something that because audiences love that movie, and I guess we're ready for that kind of movie, and I don't think I'm not going to compare it to that movie. That movie is a masterwork, but it's great that it created a second life for the script, and then I've been working on it for about a year now with the guys at Silver and at Warner Brothers.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing that. So how did Safety Not Guaranteed basically get some momentum and end up a film?
I saw the ad probably 2007-ish, and just sort of immediately got the idea for the setup of the story, and I felt like I knew who would write that ad, like that character. I felt like I knew who would word it that way, and I thought he was a funny character, an interesting character, but also a sad character.
Right.
And kind of filed the idea away in the back of my head. And originally, actually, it was the male character who I pictured being the reporter who went and developed this relationship with him. But then a couple years later, I saw Aubrey Plaza in Funny People, and the whole thing sort of clicked in my head, and I said, oh, this is perfect, and started writing a week later. And
did you know her at the time, or was
I did not. I briefly met her. She's with our same manager that represents us, and yeah, we got the script to her, and she liked it and got on board.
Fantastic.
It was that same week I was at the Montreal Comedy Festival, and I spent an evening with her and a couple other people, and I had this blast of a time, and I told Derek, I spent time with Aubrey Plaza. We're totally cool now. And 6 months later, I was like, yeah, remember that time in Montreal? And she's like, no, I don't, not at all. So as far as she's concerned, we met just before the shoot of the movie.
Nice. How did the Duplass brothers get involved with this project?
Mark and Jay, we actually, after we had Aubrey and Jake Johnson, Jake and I have known each other for a long time, and so he came on pretty quick. We sent it to their production company, and so Stephanie Langhoff, who's our producer, one of our producers, read it and got it to them, and she was just really instrumental in getting them on board, and the actual process of casting Mark was it was some time when Mark was actually coming on to help us find the guy to play Kenneth, and so we were looking around, we talked to a bunch of actors, and then one day we were just like, wait a second, man, like what if we do it this way? And he said, okay, and that's how it turned out.
Cool. So going from being a studio screenwriter, I think, were you guys writing together at the time when as this started to come together with you as a director attached? Yeah, and what was that transition from writer to director like?
I feel like what made it a lot easier is, Derek wrote this movie, and I developed it with him, and we kind of did our thing that we do, but every word on the page is his, and so I was able to focus on things that that I think as a writer might have been difficult, because it's hard not to get precious with your material, and you're constantly fighting it. And so I was able to, you know, just make different kinds of decisions, and I don't know if it would have been quite as easy to slash and burn all of his great. You know, we shot the script. I mean, it's as close to like the original script as you can imagine. But even in the editing process, I think that's where you really are. You're doing a bit of rewriting of the film to a certain extent, and there are certain things. I mean, it's like a kid. Like, you know, your kid is born and it's awesome and it's perfect, and then when it's like 13, you're like, you got some problems, man. Like, you just like, there's issues here, but I know deep down you're good, and
you're gonna get through this.
We're gonna get through this
together.
And there, you know, it takes a little bit of work to you know, get you a second therapist, whatever it takes. And you know, Sunday was kind of this feeling of, yeah, you know, you're okay, you're graduating. But there's a lot of tough work that goes on in the middle there, and I think, you know, having Derek to kind of lean on creatively at key moments was pretty crucial. And just, I mean, I can't think, it'd probably be unlikely that a writer would have the level of involvement throughout a production process that Derek had on this movie. I mean, we were side by side the entire time.
It's fantastic.
And it worked really well. I mean, I think it's a great dynamic.
Well, fast forward to today. You guys apparently rocked your premiere. I've been reading a bunch of stuff online. Tell us a little bit about seeing it with that audience and the reception you guys got.
It was incredible.
It was awesome.
Probably the best moment of my life. I mean, it was just
awesome.
amazing. Like a combination of your first movie getting produced and seeing it with an audience for the first time, and you're at Sundance, and the reaction it got, it was just incredible.
Yeah, I think there's just, I mean, when you grow up in the 80s, as we did, I think it was kind of a mandate at that time to make movies that would make people cheer on the hero. And when that happened in this, at a pretty crucial moment towards the end of the movie, we got that big rousing theater moment that man,
you don't see very often.
You don't get it. Yeah, you don't get. I mean, it's you know, it's a lot of things have to go right. And
did you design, like, thinking about that moment even as you were directing, cutting it together? That that's what you're building to this moment.
Part of it, you know, I mean, there's the moment itself actually that inspired the cheer was not decided on until after we had shot. Much later, we actually changed the ending, even after we had gotten into Sundance on a different ending.
Really?
And then we had this idea of like, well, what if we do this thing? And we called them up and said, "Will you guys be cool with this? And we try something else." And we showed it to them, and they were down with it. But it really had to earn it. You know, it wasn't the kind of thing that I think that if you asked us when we were shooting the movie, I don't know if we would have thought at the time that we could ever pull something like that off. And after the movie was finally starting to work, we started thinking, well, you know, let's take a shot at this. But yeah, it was a very long, organic process.
Swing for the fences. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So what's next for you guys?
What's next for us, man?
Driving through the desert on our way to LA. Yeah.
We're gonna take a road trip to LA from here. That'll be fun.
That'll be
That's
great.
kind of, it's the next thing that we see.
Well, I saw that you guys sold a pitch. It's the Untitled Trevorrow.
Oh, to Walter
Carly,
Parks.
yes,
Yeah,
to Walter.
exactly.
That's actually in a great place right now. It's called Deep Cover.
Oh, cool.
And there's an incredible writer-director who's coming on board to direct that movie, and I don't believe that I'm allowed to say who that is just yet, but I haven't been authorized on that. But it's really exciting, and somebody that we think is brilliant, and we just couldn't be. I can't honestly think of somebody better to direct that script than this guy.
So then you will be available to direct something. So I imagine your
Yes.
phones are starting to ring off the hook, both
I
of
hope
you, with
so.
writing
Yeah.
assignments and directing assignment stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we kind of. I think we're both going to be in LA for a little while. I live in Vermont, so you know, us being in Los Angeles together is a rare occasion.
time.
He's in LA, and so we're going to spend some time. And definitely, you know, I've certainly as a writer, I've been around for a little bit, and you know, I've met a lot of people, and I think I sort of have to now reintroduce, you know, what this is this writing directing team, which is what we want to stick with. I mean, this isn't going to be like just this one. I mean, hopefully, if you'll have me. But
I don't know, Colin.
yeah,
This
all right. Well,
hasn't
we're
been
going to work
going
this
so-
out
Yeah.
internally.
We'll
but
talk about it.
it is something we'd really like to continue doing together, and hopefully someone will let us do it.